So can you see there's these two sides to the issue. There's the side of the issue which you could say are these sides to the issue, which are all of these...
It's like injuries imposed upon us, isn't it?
Yeah, injuries imposed upon us by our environment that cause us then to feel certain things about sex and sexuality that we feel that we then can't discuss openly and truthfully, the desires and passions and longings that we have within us. And then on this other side, we have a knowing, sort of like an inside understanding or knowing of the truth inside of us, what we call a soul knowing, if you could call it, a soul instinct about the truth about it. And whenever we conflict or our actions have conflicted with those soul-based instincts of surrounding love, then what finishes up happening is we feel bad about ourselves and therefore feel shame and therefore feel guilt and feel a bad conscience and triggers us and we then feel like we don't want to discuss that. When you think about it, not wanting to discuss that is all really about just not being humble enough to our emotion. Not being humble to admit that, yes, I have bartered sex. Yes, I have been unloving in my sexual interactions. Yes, I might have had some kind of sexual disease as a result of my use of sex, for example. Yes, I have had other things happen. I've had many, let's say, I've had many, and these, I'm not saying these from my perspective. So a lot of people, when I quote things, they then quote me as saying, this has happened to me, and then they get all...
That's the next media. Yes, I have had a venereal disease. Yeah. Yes, I have.
Right, and I haven't. But the reality is that what I'm saying is even if I have, right, then there's this instinct inside of us knowing, well, something was wrong there, something was up there, and there's an instinct then of feeling, well, something was wrong, but then there's this feeling of condemnation of ourselves, and then also an unwillingness to discuss openly that condemnation of ourselves or that feeling that we had.
Yeah, and in my experience, the way that I have been most manipulated sexually and the way I've actually entered into things that cause me more and more shame is through the avoidance of acknowledging my shame, whether they be sort of shame as a result of my soul instinct or shame as a result of injuries imposed upon me. While I lived in denial of that shame and the truth of what really went on, that is when I became more and more disconnected with sex and love as one entity, I believe that's the most harmonious way to experience sex. And I also, through the law of attraction, obviously, accumulated more shame because I didn't want to feel these things, so then I would enter into exchanges as a result of denying those emotions.